Hey, hi, and hello, people. Welcome back. Hi, it's me. First thing I want to do is I just want to thank all you guys. I was totally blown away by the amount of support and the volume of people coming through and watching my tier list videos. I mean, when I made the video, I basically just made my first tier list video, that is the weapons one. When I made that video, I was just like, oh, well, there's no tier lists out here. There's not as much information really. So I decided to make it, and then I don't know. Thanks you guys. I appreciate everyone coming out and giving me little hints and tips. I had no idea there even was really a Vampire Survivors community until they all flocked to my video to hail my placements or to shout me down. But I appreciate it either way. I want to thank you guys. It gave me a lot of inspiration to keep making videos, because before I hadn't ever really made videos. But I mean, I don't make money on YouTube right now anyway. But it gave me a lot of inspiration to keep making videos, and I've been streaming a lot more at Twitch at tonkdumbledonk, twitch.tv/tonkdumbledonk. If you want to come through and see any of my live stuff that I'm doing. I do a lot of variety streaming mostly. But anyway, it gave me a lot of confidence to do that, and then I got affiliated on Twitch. So yeah, it's sick. Come through, drop a sub, drop a follow, whatever you want to do if you want to do that. If you feel like supporting me in any way, that's probably the best way to do it right now. I was thinking about doing a Patreon, but I don't really have a release schedule, so I feel like it would be ingenuous, I guess you would say, to make one right now. So anyway, I don't know we'll see how you guys feel about it. So anyway, on to the meat and potatoes. Again, thank you guys for all coming out. You've given me a lot of comments. I've actually learned a shitload from you guys in the comments too, and yeah, so thanks to you guys first and foremost. I probably wouldn't even be bothering to make this video if it wasn't for you guys. So, on to the main meat and potatoes. So the general explanation is I'm just going to do a full content tier list breakdown thing, I guess you would say. So from what I've done before, I've done the passive items, I've done the characters, and I've done the weapons and evolutions. So what I'm going to do in this one video, they didn't drop a lot of content in Tides of Foscari for Vampire Survivors. So I'm just going to combine all the tier lists into one video. Hopefully it shouldn't take that long. I don't have to talk about the majority of the stuff, so I don't think it will. So with all that out of the way, again, thank you guys, and let's get into it. The first one I'm going to go with is the passive items tier list, because they only introduced one single passive item, the Academy Badge. Oh, and one thing that I will do is I'm going to make a couple edits to these tier lists as well, just because it's been a while and my opinions have changed, and messing around a little more and things like that. So the main thing I'm going to be changing on this tier list is I'm going to bring Toronto's box up to about there. I could see an argument for it to be here, but I think here's fine, because Omni is just really good. And one of the helpful commenters named Sleepy Time Gamer notified me, and I don't know why I didn't think of this myself. But anyway, Sleepy Time Gamer commented, and he said that you can also banish the final stage of Toronto's box, so you don't have to worry about as much curse as you normally would with Toronto's box, and you could just get the Omni, which is cool. It's cool and flexible and whatever. So I'm putting that there, and I think I'm also going to be moving the armor up, mostly because retaliation builds are stronger than I thought they would be, and armor is just generally better than health regen, in my opinion, I think. But I think that's pretty much it for these changes. So we'll talk about Academy Badge now. So this is a passive item, obviously. You can only obtain it as a stage item on Lake Foscari, or you reach level 30 as Eleanor, Maruto, or Kietha. So the thing about Academy Badge is you can't get it from the pool, which is kind of a bummer, but at the same time, if you're playing on Lake Foscari, or if you're playing as Eleanor, Maruto, or Kietha, which are new characters, you'll be getting Academy Badge, right? You'll be getting it. So the Academy Badge is pretty good. So it has 6 levels, And basically, alternatively, as you level it up, it gives you more amount, and it gives you revival. So, like, level 2 will give you more projectile, level 3 will give you more revival, etc., etc. And then every level, it decreases your growth by 3%. So at max level, you'll have minus 15% growth, plus 3 amount, and plus 2 revival. So, I'm going to say right now, Academy Badge is the best passive that exists now. If you recall me talking about Duplicator just being so strong, so good, Academy Badge is Duplicator Plus, because it not only does, at max level, it gives you 1 more amount than Duplicator can, but it also just gives you 2 revivals, just in case. And then the only downside is the 15% growth decrease, which, if you've seen my other Vampire Survivors tier list, the passive item was one. I talk about how growth isn't really an important stat in this game. I will say there is a caveat if you are playing, Limit Break, or if you're playing, or if you're gold farming. Growth is still pretty good, but even then, I would still probably want Academy Badge for both of those, because they're just like it's just so good. Plus 3 amount and then 2 revival. It's so strong. It's so nice. So good. The only downside, again, like I said, is you'll be getting it only as a stage item, or if you're playing as a specific character. The 3 characters that you get it as are not particularly good for gold farming. But, so basically, like, you're going to be getting it, so it's not like you have to make a choice, right? It's not like you have to choose between, like, Duplicator and, like, Armor or something like that. You're going to be getting this, so, you know, but it is the best. It's just the best passive item that they have now. So, yeah, it's pretty good. I think that's pretty much it for the passives. Because that's all. There's only one. So we're gonna move on to the character. Here, I'll presentation mode this for you. Wow, look at that. Okay, on to the characters. I'm gonna make a couple changes, I think, here. There's less, though. I think the main thing is Avatar goes down, not because he's not strong, but because he's harder to use than Scourge Oni and Red Death, I think. And also there's a cool synergy with Scourge Oni that you can get. But anyway, I would say that you could very easily kill yourself with Avatar's speed boost. Saying from experience. But anyway, he's a little harder to use. He's still really good, but he's a little harder to use than like Red Death or something like that, right? Let me see. So before the DLC, I would not have made this change, but after the DLC, Mortaccio moves up. He has a special, like, Omega, like, Shin Mortaccio form, that you can get now. That's very strong, and you can't die. So, the thing about Mortaccio is if it was easier to get his form, so, long story short, I'll talk about it when I go into the weapons, because the Anima of Mortaccio is technically a weapon. But long story short, actually, maybe long story short, Mortaccio, he's normal until you hit level 80, and you have the Chaos Malachite, which is a relic that you get in the DLC. Then he turns into Shin Mortaccio, like Omega Mortaccio. Yeah, and he then cannot die once you turn level 80. So the main thing is getting to level 80, but once you get to level 80, it's free. I think I'm gonna put him above. I'll put him like here. I think I'll put him here, just because like Bone is pretty good, but it's a little annoying to start with. But you can probably, if you get to level 80, you turn into Super Mortaccio, and you are literally unkillable. Death can't even kill you. So the Shin Mortaccio goes here easily, because Queen Sigma can die. It's difficult to accomplish, but it is possible. And Menya can't die, but she disappears at 30, whereas the giant Anima of Mortaccio has neither of those problems. So I'll put them here. And again, I'll talk more about the Anima of Mortaccio when we get to the weapons. Let me see. Do I want to make any other changes? Not really. I mean, the thing about the characters is they're so, like, close, right? They're so, yeah, they're so... The main thing is that they're passive, and then, like... The main thing is they're passive, and then their starting weapon, right? So, whatever. Okay, so we'll talk about Eleanor Uziron here. Eleanor Uziron. Here she is. She's the first playable character from VampSurvivors Tides of Foscari, and she starts out with the SpellString weapon. You unlock her by finding and opening her coffin in Lake Foscari level, so you have to play the level once and find her. Then you buy her for 500, which scales with other characters. Alternatively, using the Forbidden Scrolls of Morbane, you can cast the spell Spell Something. Oh, and before I go on any further, I don't want to forget, there will be some minor spoilers for what little story there is in Vampire Survivors. So if you don't want any of the unlocks spoiled, if you don't want any of the weapons or anything spoiled, or the character spoiled, or whatever, if you don't want any of that spoiled, just go and play the game. It takes like 2-3 hours to get back to 100% or something like that, maybe a little more. So just go and play it, and then if you care, come back and then do it. But there's not too much really. So, but I feel like I should put that warning in there either way. Before I go into the actual like juicy stuff. So anyway, yes, you unlock her with the spell something. So she starts with SpellString, like I said, and her passives are she starts with -10 max health, plus 20% move speed, plus 25% growth, and 2 rerolls. So that's pretty nice. Like already, that's pretty good. Then, in addition, when you reach level 10, the SpellStream weapon will spawn. When you reach level 20, the SpellStrike weapon will spawn. And when you reach level 30, the Academy Badge passive will spawn underneath her. So the cool thing about her is they don't automatically give you the weapons into your inventory, so they just kind of sit there. So you can do some cool, like, there's some interesting decision making with Eleanor if you want to pick up all of the spell weapons, because basically the 3 spell weapons union into a big spell. So you can kind of have some cool decision making where if you want to pick them all up early and then try to level them, or if you want to max your weapons out before you pick them up. Yeah, it's an interesting like little decision making that comes naturally with playing Eleanor. So her passives are pretty good. 25% growth is like nice, I guess. The 20% move speed is good. I love the 2 rerolls. -10 max health honestly isn't really that big of a deal. Yeah, so I think she's pretty good. The only thing is she doesn't really have like a scaling passive. She just has like a front-loaded sort of thing. I mean, I guess the percent move speed, sure, like if you get wings, that goes up a bit, but not really like a scaling per level passive. That being said, she is pretty good. I'm kind of tempted to put her... Yeah, I'll put her up here below the Assunta. Sorry, I'm sorry about the sorry about the differences in the boxes here. It's really apparent for the cat. Oh my God, and Sammy's head is cut off. Sorry guys. If that's the kind of thing that really bothers you, I apologize. I screen capped the pictures myself. And I guess I didn't find the uniform one. So sorry. If that bothers you a lot, I apologize. Hopefully you can forgive me. But I'm not going back and screen capping it all again. It was a pain in the ass. Okay, so anyway. So yeah, she's pretty good. She just doesn't have like a scaling passive. The main thing is that she gets Academy Badge eventually, and the spell weapons are like pretty good when you get them all together. She just takes like a little while to get rolling, I suppose. Yeah, so she's not that bad. She's not that good either. All right, let's continue on to Maruto Cuts. Black Guts we've got here. He's pretty cool. I like this guy. He starts with the... What is it? Eskizzibur? I just called it Dragon Slayer because it's literally just the Dragon Slayer Berserk. So you unlock Maruto by uniting SpellString, SpellStream, and SpellStrike, which are the 3 spell things that Eleanor spawns. Alternatively, and then you buy it for 3k, buy him for 3k, which then scales. And his spell in the Forbidden Scrolls is this is a good one. His spell in the scrolls is "Anime is my passion." That's a pretty good one. Okay, so yeah, Maruto's pretty good. So basically, the passives: Maruto gets 1 armor after being damaged, which resets at every 10 seconds. And then getting hit again resets the timer by 1 second. So basically, he gains 1 armor when you get hit, and then whenever you would get hit, so you'd have that buff for 10 seconds, and then if you get hit again during that timer, it adds another second onto the +1 armor thing. So then, in addition, he starts with +20 max health, +1 armor, in addition to the buff that he gets from getting hit, plus 20% might, and 10% curse, which whatever. So the 20% might is pretty good. The extra armor is really good. The max health is decent. And then level 30, he spawns the Academy Badge passive, which is pretty nice. So I like Maruto. He's very cool. His starting weapon is good if you get the evolution, the Dragon Slayer. The main thing is he's really good if you're going for like a retaliation damage build, which is really cool. Like you could get Divine Bloodline, you can get armor. Obviously, you're gonna get armor as it gets the evolution and it synergizes. You can get Muramasa, and then if you have Muramasa, you can self-damage. You self-damage with Muramasa, and then it triggers more retaliation damage. It's cool. It's cool that there's more options for the retaliation build, because before there wasn't really like that much. There was like Suto, I guess. But anyway, so Maruto really is good if you're doing like a full retaliation damage sort of build. It's cool. It's good. I think the passives are better than Eleanor's. Yeah, I'm gonna I'll put him at the top of standard run. I think maybe below Clear EC. I could see an argument for. Whoops, I didn't want to do that. I could see an argument for like this or even this maybe, but. I think I like him here. The retaliation thing is really cool if you want to do that. If you're playing with Arcana, you get Divine Bloodline and you go crazy. You can he even scales well with the slash build because you have Eskizzibur, the Dragon Slayer thing. Yeah, he's cool. I like this guy. He's nice. That's pretty much it though. And then we'll move on to Kietha Mourt. Kietha Mourt. So she starts with the flash arrow, which I don't like it that much, but Kietha's still cool. So basically you unlock Kietha by evolving the Dragon Slayer, Maruto's weapon, Eskizzibur, and then purchase for 3k, which scales, and then her spell in the Forbidden Scrolls is Oops, I Stole One Again. All one word. Okay, so onto the passives. Kietha gains a 1% luck bonus every single level with no cap. Starts with 40% move speed, which is a lot. 20% projectile speed, which is pretty good. Minus 10% on the cooldown. Plus 10% luck, so starting out with 10% luck and then increasing that every level. And 10% curse, which whatever. And then level 30, you get the Academy Badge, which is also good. So the cool thing about Kietha, similar to Maruto, is Kietha's good with a luck build. Which before you had like McCoy Oni, you had like Gaines Boros, I guess, if you wanted to. For like a luck build, but yeah, Kietha's pretty good, and the bonuses are really strong too. Like 40% move speed is not anything to sneeze at. 20% projectile speed is just good when you have flash arrow like she does. The cooldown reduction, just base, is nice. 10% curse, whatever, and then the luck. So the cool thing about her is if you manage to get 108 bocce, you get like that thing starts to go like do some crazy damage. Because the way Bocce works, if you watch my weapons video, is it does more damage based on the difference between your curse and your luck. So with her having a no cap an uncapped luck percent bonus every level, it starts to do a lot of damage. So I think she's pretty cool. The main thing is she starts with Flash Arrow, which is like hard to use. Especially starting, it's really rough. Where would I put her? I think she's better than Eleanor, but not by a lot. So I'll put her here. We get a lot of like balanced starting characters, which I think is cool. So yeah, we'll put her there. I think that's fair enough. I could see an argument for putting her a little lower just because Flash Arrow is hard to use, but then eventually you get Millionaire, which is nice, but yeah, I don't know. And then with her, the slash build is really cool because you have scaling luck. So the percentage crit starts at 20%, but the more luck you have, that goes up, obviously. So if you're playing as Kietha, you have scaling luck, you have crit, and Flash Arrow can crit by default, so it'll start doing ×4 damage. You'll be doing a fucking grip, an absolute grip with this hoe. I guess she's not really a hoe. She's more of just like a loner ranger type. But anyway, you get my drift. She's pretty good. And then when you play with some Arcanas, you can really unlock her potential and her weapon's full potential. So next up, we've got Luminaire Foscari. She starts out with the Prismatic Missile weapon, which is fine. And you unlock her by breaking the seal of the Abyss in the Abyss Foscari with Maruto. Then you buy her for 5k. So basically, you go to the Abyss Foscari from Lake Foscari. You play as Maruto. You evolve your Dragon Slayer into Legionaire, and then you can break the seal, and then you can unlock Luminaire. Alternatively, her spell in the scrolls is Deus Ex Machina. So Luminaire is pretty cool. She starts with 0.5 recovery, 40% move speed, 7 revivals, and 5 banishes. So that's pretty cool. I love the move speed. The recovery is fine. The revivals and the banishes are pretty sweet. And then every time she levels up, she triggers a Rosary effect, which is basically just a pickup. Yeah, so basically Rosary kills all enemies that are not immune to Rosary. Like the Reaper, like other things, whatever. So anyway, every level she triggers Rosary, which is pretty good. So another thing, after she revives, she gets a temporary 200% might, minus 100% cooldown reduction, and up to 300% movement speed, which is just to prevent her from breaking the speed cap and breaking the game. And so that bonus lasts. It lasts longer the more time she's revived. So basically, it lasts for 15 seconds plus the times you've revived ×2. So the first time you revive, it is 17 seconds, and then it goes up longer and longer every time. And then every time she revives, she also gets longer invincibility frames. So she's pretty good. So again, it's kind of going with the same theme of Maruto, making like a kind of subpar, in my opinion, previously to this DLC, a subpar build like to be good. Like the luck build was fine. There wasn't really too much to lean into it. The retaliation build was like okay. There was like one character that could take advantage of it really. And now for her, the revival build is a thing. So you can with her you can get like Firagi to make that's the gun union, to make that thing super powerful because she gets 7 revives. You can get more, and then every time she revives, she fucking hulks out for longer and longer. And it's just cool. She's pretty neat. The main thing is she has a pretty boring starting weapon, but even then, like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, she's pretty good. I would say she's easy run, because you can really afford. In fact, you want to like make mistakes on her because every time she revives, she gets stronger. So you're kind of like encouraged to die almost. I think I'd put her probably up here. Yeah, I'd put her below Pugnala, I think. I think this is fair. I think probably there, yeah. Is she better than Ciuto? Yeah. Yeah, probably. Alright, so yeah, she's pretty strong. Her passives are crazy. like crazy good. She fucking like hulks out every time she dies. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And again, I like how they're leaning into the revival build. It's cool. It's cool. All right, so on to Genevieve Gruyere. So she's like evil Luminaire, like Nega Luminaire or whatever. Yeah. So you unlock Genevieve by breaking the seal of the Banished with Eleanor in the Abyss Foscari. So basically, the first time you go through with Maruto, you crack the seal with him, then you get access to the other area in Abyss Foscari. Then you bring Eleanor with her SpellStrom union, and then you break her out. Then you buy her for 5k, and her spell is Basic Witch in the Scroll of Morbane if you don't want to bother doing all that. So Genevieve is pretty good. I like Genevieve a lot. Gruyere. So she starts with the Shadow Servant, which is fine, I guess. And she gets 20% move speed, plus 50% greed, plus 50% magnet, and 5 rerolls. And then every time she levels up, she triggers a vacuum. So like one of those vacuum orbs, which is cool. So there's like a cool like double, you end up getting like a cool like double level thing with her, because like you'll kill enemies, you'll level up one time, then you'll vacuum all of the experience points up and get a second level. Typically you'll only get 2 really, because like you wouldn't be able to kill the enemies fast enough for the second vacuum to affect it too much, but it's nice, right? It's nice. In addition, once per life, she triggers World Eater after receiving fatal damage, which basically it makes her invincible for 3 seconds, kills every enemy on the screen like the Rosary effect, and then they turn into little hearts to heal her. So it doesn't really count as a revive, it counts as like a cheap death mechanic. So you get to do that once per life. So, which is cool, because if you have revives, you do it every time. So like if you trigger World Eater and then die, you come back, you get another trigger of World Eater before you trigger another revive. So it's almost like doubles your revives, kind of, even though they don't really count as revives for that purpose. Yeah, so she's pretty cool. She's pretty cool. I like Genevieve Gruyere. Shadow Serpent is pretty good. It turns into one of the better weapons, one of the better evolutions. She's a little bit harder to use, I think, than Luminaire. I think they're pretty even, though. I'll put her slightly below Luminaire. Mostly because Luminaire, you succeed by dying, and Genevieve, you don't really have that same thing. She does have plus 50% greed, which is interesting. I wouldn't really consider her over Trouser or even Sammy for gold farming, but you could if you wanted to, I suppose. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for Gruyere. So next up, we've got Je-Ne-Viv. So that's why I will be calling the purple lady Gruyere, because they have very similar names. This is Je-Ne-Viv. Je-Ne-Viv? Whatever. Anyway, this is the end boss of the game. It's like an amalgamation of Gruyere and like Luminaire and like, what is that? Is it Eleanor in there or something? I don't know. So yeah, this is the end boss. World Eater, Andy over here. So you unlock Je-Ne-Viv by defeating 100,000 enemies in a single run with Gruyere. And then the spell in the Forbidden Scrolls of Morbane is the World Eater. The World Eater. Starts out with Shadow Servant, and and this thing's a doozy. So Je-Ne-Viv gains plus 1% might and 0.5% curse every level, uncapped scaling. Pretty good. Like a 1% might is every level is good. The curse is whatever, but the might outscales the curse, so whatever. Starts with 150 plus 150 max health, plus 5 armor, plus 50% might, plus 50% greed, plus 50% magnet, and 7 rerolls, which all that is really good. In addition, Je-Ne-Viv starts with the Insatiable weapon, which is basically a hidden weapon that basically it creates like a purple zone, or like a zone around the character similar to the Blood Astronomia, and its damage is multiplied by greed and the zone is affected by magnet instead of area. So basically, you get a free like garlic. You get a free garlic from this. Playing this character, you get insatiable. It doesn't like evolve or anything, but the damage goes up based on your greed, and the area goes up based on your magnet, which is cool. I mean, you're already starting out with plus 50% of basically fucking everything, so. But yeah, that's pretty good. In addition, you get the World Eater once per life if you receive fatal damage. So it's similar to Gruyere, where you become invincible for 2 seconds, you kill every enemy on the screen, they all turn into little hearts and get healed. Every level you trigger Vacuum as well, so it's the same thing with Gruyere as well, where you get like double levels and stuff like that very often. In addition, though, every 6th level triggers World Eater. So at level 6, 12, 18, etc., it will trigger World Eater and then physically increase the size of Genevieve. But the main thing is World Eater, when it triggers, it can eat through wall tiles of the fucking map. So you can just walk out of bounds now, I guess. So it's an intended mechanic. It's not like a glitch or anything, I think. But basically, like, the ground turns into, like, black, smoky, like, mist or whatever when it gets eaten. So you could just leave the map if you want, I guess. I don't really know what's out there. I don't think there's anything really out there, but you can, in fact, eat the world. In addition, because if that wasn't good enough, when you reach level 10, you spawn SpellString. Level 20, you spawn SpellStream. Level 30, you spawn SpellStrike. Similar to Eleanor, except a little earlier. So this character is pretty fucking good. I think I'm gonna put it. I think I will put it above Scorgione, but below Red Death, just because Red Death's so easy to use. You start out with an evolved weapon right away with Red Death, which is good, whereas you get Shadow Servant with Genevieve, and you have to evolve it, and even when you evolve it, it's good, but, you know, it's not great. This this is an interesting little critter right here. So yes, this is the end boss. As it turns out, when you get to play as the end boss, it's kind of good. So we are now getting to, we'll do Rottin'Ghoul. Rottin'Ghoul, yeah, Rottin'Ghoul, there's my boy. Alright, so you unlock Rottin'Ghoul by killing a total of 6,000 Rottin'Ghouls. Then you buy it for 500, which scales. Alternatively, the scroll spell is Soul of the Party. Rottin'Ghoul starts out with the Party Popper weapon, which is whatever. And then similar to like to Ramba and like Cavallo and stuff like that, you gain 1 amount every 20 levels until 80. And you get 20% movement speed. So you get a max of +4 amount and 20% movement speed. So I mean, I guess you technically have more amount than Ramba and Cavallo, and Mortaccio, but we've talked about him. So I don't know. Party Popper kind of sucks though, so I'll put him below Ramba. Basically, you're playing this guy so that you can unlock Party Popper, and get it into the pool for your Gemini runs, I guess. Even though it's not particularly good there, it's better than other things. So there's not really a lot to say about Rottin'Ghoul. He's just one of these guys, you know. He's just one of these guys. All right, now we have Sammy, little Sammy, who I accidentally cut his head off. I'm sorry, buddy. I'm sorry. So you unlock Sammy by defeating 6,000 Sammy the Caterpillar enemies. Buy for 50k, which scales with other characters. And I thought I was gonna go fucking insane trying to farm these guys. I thought I was gonna have to farm this for like hours and hours, but then I found the secret spot in the Lake Foscari that just spawns only Sammy the Caterpillars. Thank you, devs. And then alternatively, his spell is Happy Birthday. So this guy's a weird one. This guy's a interesting critter, this guy. So Sammy starts with 2 recovery and -60 might, but you get your might back at, like, you get 10% might back on level 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and 21. So you start out with the minus 60% might, but you get it back over the course of 21 levels. Oh, he starts with Vicious Hunger as well, which is, like, fine, I guess. It's cool. Sure. Sammy gets longer gold fevers as well, and the duration cap is multiplied by 1.25. You get longer gold fevers and more time when you pick gold up. The gold chance of Vicious Hunger is increased as well, in a strange way. I think it's similar to the way that Gatiamari eats floor chicken or something like that. You can check the wiki out if you want to see exactly, but basically the main thing is that the gold chance of Vicious Hunger is increased. Level 30 also triggers a gold fever, and it switches the background music to play Happy Birthday when you get level 30. And then Sammy, whenever Sammy picks up coins, Sammy gets experience points, which bypasses the Game Killer Arcana, which is interesting. So what Game Killer does is it multiplies your growth by 0, which means you can't level up anymore. But when Sammy picks up coins, it turns into experience, so that bypasses, like, the Game Killer thing, which is interesting, I think. And you can still level up with that Arcana, and then gold is converted to EXP 1-to-1, and then multiplied by the stage gold multiplier, greed, and growth. So this guy's pretty fucking good. Pretty fucking good. For farming gold, I should say. For doing normal runs, Sammy is like, whatever. I guess I'll put him above Trouser. But other than that, there's nothing really too interesting going on. I will say Sammy is incredible for gold farming, like better than Trouser, I think, in my opinion. Trouser is good if you are leaving the game open and going AFK for several hours, and you just want to farm gold that way. I think Trouser is probably better. But if you're actively playing the game and farming gold, Sammy's way better. For farming gold. These two characters, the only thing they do is farm gold. They're not particularly good for like doing runs and shit like that. They don't really have anything special that, like, these characters don't have. You know. So that's it for the characters. Yeah, let me do a double check, and yeah, I think this looks about right. Like, again, I could see Maruto going down. In fact, I'll put him below Clarice just because the starting weapon's worse. Well, not worse, but, like, it's you'll get less kills and therefore less levels than with the Santa Water. So I think this is good. I'll go into presentation mode for this, and there you go. Oh man, I forgot to do this. All right. Pause the video. Alright. Alright, so now on to the weapons. This is where the tier list was last left. I am going to make some changes. This is going to be the main thing where changes occur. Thanks to a Josh B9 in the comments. He turned me on to the Gatiamari a lot. So Gatiamari is jumping a lot of spaces. I think I'm going to put it at the top. Actually, no, I'll put it at the very end of OK, because it really does do a shitload of damage. The Gatiamari does, especially when you get, like, the scuffles and stuff like that. But I just don't like it because I died to these cats a few times, and it's annoying. Godai Shuffle and Four Seasons, I think, should go up as well. I'm gonna put Godai at the end of OK here and Four Seasons above it, just because I find it easier to use Four Seasons and Godai Shuffle. Like, it's only in the corners, so I mean, it's just me, it's just my preference. I know a lot of people love Godai Shuffle. They'd put it, like, up here in OP. I just find it a little difficult to use. Gorgeous Moon, I think, deserves to go up a little bit too, just because it actually does something, which is nice. And it, like, if you were going for, like, a hyper leveling build, you probably want Gorgeous Moon, even though it takes forever to go off. Just the main thing is that I think before I was rating it so low because you have to deal with Pentagram the whole time until you get this evolved, which is a huge downside in my opinion. But it's not a downside of Gorgeous Moon; it's a downside of Pentagram, whatever. Oh, and I also remembered to put Candy Box on here, the Super Omega Turbo Candy Box. So basically what this does is similar to the normal Candy Box. It's a gift, so you get it out of chests, and you get it from other... sometimes you get it upon a level up, but it's very rare. But similar to this, so basically the normal Candy Box lets you choose any normal weapon. Super Omega Turbo Candy Box lets you choose any evolved, or I think even union weapons. So it's just straight up the best thing. You can get Sigma, you can get fucking anything you need. Anything you could possibly want, it's there. That being said, I think I want to move Fulu Fuafalu up a little bit. I could move the Gatorade down a little bit, but it's just so nice. It does have a lot of computer crash potential, I suppose. So that might be a problem, but I mean, it does a lot of damage. I'll leave it there for now. I mean, I could see an argument for this going down. I do think the Santa Water though should go down more. I think that these weapons, I think this should go into good, and then the Silver Wind should go above Axe. Cross should definitely go above Knife. Boche just got better. I'm kind of tempted to put Boche in okay now. I'll put it, or in good rather. I'll put it at the top of okay because Boche just got buffed. Oh, Tri Bracelet also is a lot better than I was giving it credit for, so I will put it. I'll put it above Thousand Edge, but Thousand Edge gets way better if you have Arcanas than Tri Bracelet can get, in my opinion. But just by default vanilla, Tri Bracelet is better than Thousand Edge. Yeah. Bible's still very good. Okay, I think this is fine. Firagi did also just get buffed too, so maybe I'll put this up here. Yeah, it's better than this. Okay. I think we're in business here. I guess Muramasa just got buffed too, so I'll put it there. Inadvertently buffed, I should say. And then looking down here, yeah, this is fine. I guess Vicious Hunger is better than this stuff. Okay, so these are the changes that I would have made, or that I have made to my previous tier list without the DLC involved. But with the DLC involved, there's some other clear winners. Okay, so we're gonna start off with SpellString, which is Eleanor's starting weapon. It is the S with nothing around it of the 4 spells. So SpellString, it shoots like little blue strings of magic at the closest enemy. Pretty simple. The damage, in addition, is multiplied 1 1/4 by projectile speed also. So if you have projectile speed, its damage will go up. SpellString has 6 levels. The base damage is 5. Nothing too important. It's just single target with a 0.9 second cooldown and a 0.06 second projectile interval. And if you haven't watched my main weapon tier list, I go a little bit into what all of that stuff means. But basically, I'll just go through it. Damage is obviously how much damage the weapon does. Area is how large the weapon is. And the weapons will always start at 1 area, and then that gets modified. So even if some weapons are bigger than others, I think they all just start at 1. Speed is the projectile speed, how fast it goes. Again, that starts at 1 and then gets modified. Amount is obviously how many gets shot out. The pierce is if it's single target, if it's area of effect, and if it does have pierce, it will tell you, there'll be a number, which is how many enemies it will pierce through before disappearing. Cooldown is obviously how long it will have before, so you use the weapon, and then it will be how long until you can use the weapon again. And then projectile interval is basically the time in between. So if you have multiple amount of a weapon, projectile interval is the time between the time between the two shots. So basically, if you have 3 amount, 1 shot gets shot, projectile interval goes through, then another 1 shot gets shot, then the projectile interval again, and then gets shot again. So in this instance, the cooldown is 0.9 seconds, and then the projectile interval is 0.06 seconds. So if you have 3 amount, you shoot a shot, 0.06 seconds go off, then you shoot another one, and then 0.06 seconds go off. You shoot the third one, then the cooldown will start. The 0.9 seconds will go through, then you shoot again. So, and then knockback obviously is just if it knocks enemies back, and pool limit is basically the limit on how many projectiles it can have on the screen at any given point in time. So sorry if that was a little overly complicated, but I just wanted to clarify because I don't think I went into detail in my weapons tier list video like that, but I kind of referenced it, and I think I might have confused a couple people. So I just wanted to be clear and go through all of the stats and stuff like that. Oh, there's also hitbox delay, which some area of effect weapons will have a hitbox delay, which is basically how much time must pass before that same enemy can get hit by that same area of effect. But I think that's pretty much all of them. I'll bring up some anything else if it comes up further. So getting into SpellString here, finally, base damage is 5. It's single target, 0.9 second cooldown, 0.06 second projectile interval, pool limit 100. It has 6 levels, and basically at the max level, it will be doing 7 damage. With 6 amount, and you'll have minus 0.05 seconds to the interval. So instead, you'll be having a 0.01 second interval, so you'll be just shooting little strings out everywhere. So it doesn't do a lot of damage, but you'll be shooting them very quickly. You'll have 6 of them. Yeah, it's not terrible. It's not super great, though. It's a starting weapon, so I think it is better than the whips. It's probably better than axe, too. Yeah, I'll put it here. It does way less damage than axe, obviously, but this just seeks enemies out. And again, the damage does get multiplied by projectile speed, so it's not just a base 7 damage. Whatever your projectile speed will be increasing the damage by a little bit at least. So that is SpellString. Onward to SpellStream, which is the S with the octagon. Yes, S with the octagon. So SpellStream, basically it shoots blue zones, magic zones at the closest enemy. It's like a cone, and it's like a wave, I guess, like a cone wave, I guess. And its damage is multiplied by area, similar to how SpellString damage is multiplied by projectile speed. Again, it's by 1.25. And then SpellStream has a 0.4 second hitbox delay, which means every 0.4 seconds, the same enemy can't be hit by that same weapon more often than 0.4 seconds. But, and this happens in a lot of the weapons that we'll be talking about here. So basically, because parts of the cone and like the wave will dissipate before the others, it's a little complicated. But basically, you shoot the wave out, and then the first part of the cone starts to dissipate. The cooldown starts there on whatever the first thing gets hit. So the first guy gets hit and the whole cone continues, right? The 0.4 seconds goes by. Even if the 0.4 seconds hasn't gone by over here on the other guy that got hit by the cone, you can hit him again because the first part of the wave dissipated and started the cooldown. So it's like a universal cooldown for the whole thing, even if someone, like another enemy, might get hit a second time before the timer is up. It's a little weird and complicated. I don't exactly know how it works, but I think it's similar to that. Basically, because all the delays reset simultaneously as soon as any one of them finishes. So some enemies may get hit more often. It's not really... I don't think you can really count on it, but it's worth knowing about, I suppose. So the base damage is 5. Duration of 0.5 seconds. It's an area of effect, obviously. Cooldown of 1.8 seconds, and the projectile interval of 0.1 seconds. And again, the 0.4 second hitbox delay with the pool limit 100. It has 6 levels, similar to SpellString, and at max level, it gets 20 base damage. The area is doubled, and 0.5 seconds to duration, so it'll have a full second of duration for this little wave. I think this is a little better than SpellString, but not by a lot. Yeah, I mean, again, so basically, like, the SpellString is the single target version of the spell, and SpellStream is the area of effect version, I guess you would say. And yeah, they complement each other, obviously. But neither, I mean, I could see an argument for SpellString being better, but I think SpellStream ultimately wins because AoE tends to be better than single target in this game for multiple reasons. So yeah, I just throw it there and okay. Alrighty then. That's pretty much it for that. So on to SpellStrike, which is the S with the box around it that is not fancy. Okay. So SpellStrike creates zones at the nearest enemy and strikes them. So it's similar, I think, to the lightning ring where it just like hits, it like shoots down and creates zones. Damage is increased more, so similar to the other ones, it gets multiplied by 1.25 times your might. So might will give it extra damage, and then it has this additional multiplier on top of that as well. It has the same 0.4 second hitbox delay as SpellStream, but again, the same thing occurs where the first one elapses and the second guy can get hit before the 0.4 seconds is up. Yes, okay, so SpellStrike has 6 levels, similar to all the others. Base is 20 damage, which is pretty good. 0.3 second duration, it does an AoE. 3.6 seconds cooldown, and a 0.2 second projectile interval with the 0.4 second hitbox delay. Pool limit of 100, pretty similar to all the other weapons. So the 6 levels. At max level, it will do 100 base damage and minus 0.9 seconds of cooldown. So it'll be at 2.7 second cooldown and 100 damage, which is a lot. That is a lot. And then yeah, this thing's pretty nice. I think this is better than the others. It's pretty similar to Lightning Ring, so I guess I'll put it up here. I think I'll put it above Santa. I'll put it above Santa Water just because it does a lot of damage. It's pretty similar to the Lightning Ring though, but magic. Okay, so moving on to Eskizzibur, the Dragon Slayer. Eskizzibur here. I don't know why it's called Eskizzibur. Maybe we'll find out. Okay, so this thing is pretty cool. So basically what it does is it just makes a swing in front of your character. At level 5, it gets a finisher. Every 5th attack, it will smash the ground, doing a huge like crater area of effect thing. And in addition, it has retaliation damage built in. And it attacks immediately again after retaliating, and it can retaliate every 1.5 seconds. Similar to the whip, when the swings are increased from the amount, it will alternate which side the character. So the first one will be where you're facing, the second one will be behind you, etc., etc., etc. This thing already has a crit chance, but if you get slash, it just makes it even more cracked. You do times 4 damage with a 20% chance, which is super nice. Very nice with slash. So it has 8 levels. Base, it does 10 damage. It has an AoE, 2.7 second cooldown with a 0.2 second projectile interval. And that's pretty much it. But the levels is where it gets really juicy. It does 40 damage. It gets a plus 20% to its area, so the slash size will get bigger, and then plus 1 amount, so you'll have 2 slashes minimum. And then again at level 5, it adds the finisher, the ground smashing maneuver. So all in all, it's good. It's not great. I think I would put this. I'd put this above the axe, but not really too much further because I mean the finisher is good, but the area is a lot like the area that you're slashing in is. It's more like it's like a vertical thing that like right in front of you. Whereas the whips, at least you have like a lot of range. The sword doesn't have a lot of range. It's just like it's like a. I mean, it's for like a retaliation thing because it has like a big area around you. But yeah, you can't really. It's harder to get kills with the sword without the retaliation thing, than it is like for any other slashing thing, even probably whip, but I think the finisher and all the other stuff pushes it way over the whips, in my opinion. So that's pretty much it. There's not really too much interesting going on here other than the crit chance built in already and the retaliation. So yeah, it's good. It's not great. And that's what I have to say about it. Okay, on to Flash Arrow. I don't really like this weapon that much, but it's probably just me. So basically, it's just hard to use. So basically, Flash Arrow, it shoots one arrow in the direction that you're moving, or last move, the direction that you're facing, and it can pierce through, by default, 7 enemies. So the damage that it does is multiplied by the amount instead of shooting more arrows. So you only shoot one arrow every time, but the more amount you have, the more damage it will do. And it can crit by default. This thing's hard to use. It's just annoying. So the base damage is 10, pierce of 7 by default with a 4-second cooldown, 0.1 second projectile interval, but that doesn't matter because you're only shooting one anyway, with the crit chance of 20%. It's just so, especially if you're playing Kietha, like you have the 10% CDR already, but like if you miss, you're just sitting there assed out for fucking 4 seconds. Like, I don't know. It's hard to use. I think it's good. It does a shitload of damage. It does a fucking grip of damage. But like, if you miss, or if you only hit like 2 things, you're sitting there for 4 seconds doing nothing, basically. So where this weapon actually shines and becomes very strong, where first off, obviously, if you get slash, it will double the crits, causing them to deal ×4 instead of ×2, which is good. But the main thing is, if you get Iron Blue Will, the arrows then bounce off the edges of the screen up to 3 times. And holy fuck, that is so strong. Like, the arrow already does a grip of damage. If you get Iron Blue Will and get that shit to bounce 3 times, so even if you miss, you're getting value because it's bouncing all over the place and fucking people up. This thing will start going fucking nuts. Like, Iron Blue Will, slash, the slash Iron Blue Will combo was, like, already, I think, in my opinion, the most damaging combo without limit breaks and stuff like that. Because you get 1000 Edge, you get you get all the other stuff. Even Heavenly Sword was decent with Iron Blue Will, with slash, I mean. But now Flash Arrow, man, that is super fucking good. Just getting it to bounce 3 times, like, because before you shoot it 1 time and it's off the screen and it's gone. With this, you're over tripling the amount of time that this arrow will be on the screen for. It's super fucking nice. Super nice. So, objectively, I think the arrow is good. Without Arcanas, even without Arcanas, I think the arrow is good. It's just like Shadow Pinion for me, where like it's hard to use and therefore I don't want to use it. You know what I mean? I could just get like fucking water or lightning ring, and I don't have to aim or do anything, and whatever. But anyway, you get my point, right? That being said, I think it is a little better than Shadow Pinion. Yeah, I think it's a little better than Shadow Pinion. Not better than this. But it is better than Shadow Pinion, I think. Just because it does way more fucking damage. And especially if you're playing with Arcanas, then it goes crazy. So, oh, sorry, I should probably talk about the max level. I think I forgot to do that. So, Flash Arrow, it has 8 levels, and at max level, it will be doing 40 base damage, 40% area, so the arrow gets bigger, plus 50% projectile speed, plus 21 pierce, so it'll be piercing 28 enemies, and minus 2 seconds on the cooldown, so it'll have a 2-second cooldown. So it gets pretty good. Like, at max level, it gets pretty good. 28 pierce, I think that's like the highest in the game. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's the highest in the game right now. Yeah, it's just strong. I just am lazy, so I don't like it. Okay, so moving on, we've got Prismatic Missile. This is a weird one. So basically what Prismatic Missile does is it spawns like little rainbow missiles from the top of the screen, and they spiral down in like little spiralies around the character, and then later they explode in like it explodes in a pixelated rainbow dust or whatever. So the Arcana, there's 3 Arcanas that will affect this, and it will only take the effect of the first Arcana that you choose. So if you select Heart of Fire, it makes the missiles explode again, dealing half of its damage again in an area. So it explodes and then explodes again, dealing half. If you select Heart of Fire, if you select Jail of Crystal, they have a 25% chance to freeze enemies affected by luck. And then if you choose Twilight Requiem, the missiles just explode again when they hit the ground. So it can only be, Prismatic Missile can only be under the effect of one of these Arcanas at a time, and it will be the first one that you choose. So make sure, if you have Prismatic Missile, you choose the one that you want for your build, the Arcana that you want for your build first, because if you choose the wrong one, you'll be shit out of luck. Okay, so this thing does 10 damage base with a 2 amount, 2-second cooldown, it's an AoE, and a 0.1 second projectile interval. It's not super interesting, I guess. At max level, it does 20 damage, plus 80% area, which is pretty good, plus 40% projectile speed, plus 5 amount, so you will be doing, you'll have 7 of them, and minus 0.5 seconds of cooldown, bringing it down to 1.5 seconds on cooldown. So the thing about Prismatic Missile is it's just like a weird weapon where like the spirals come down and they don't actually, they're just like cosmetic until they explode. So you'll be moving around and be like, oh, here comes the spiral, and you'll move an enemy into it, and it won't do anything, and then it will go past him and then like explode below him, and then and do damage, and you're like, ah, fuck. That being said, it is pretty good. Once you get used to that, I think once you get used to how the damage gets done, I think it's pretty good. I wouldn't say it's like amazing. See, this is the problem. There's too many fucking weapons now. I'll put it at the end of good, I think. Yeah, I think Silverwind, or not Silverwind, whatever. I keep forgetting what this thing is called. But anyway, I think this is slightly worse. But I could see an argument of it going up. Just because it will do a lot of AoE. And the evolution is quite good as well. So we'll go with that. And then lastly, for the unevolved and ununioned weapons, we've got Shadow Servant. Shadow Servant's an interesting one. So basically what this does is it spawns snakes, or I guess snecks they're called, officially. And they wander out at a random enemy and then it explodes on them. So an interesting thing is enemies that are hit by these snecks are slowed down permanently. It has a 50% chance to slow down enemies, which gets affected by luck. If the enemy is not immune to debuffs, which it's mostly the trash mobs that are not immune to debuffs. Each hit reduces the move speed by an additional 5% until it reaches a minimum of 20% of their original speed, and I think that takes like 16 hits or something like that. That also, the slow stacks multiplicatively with other movement speed modifications for enemies. Also, if you select the Gemini Arcana, it will create the counterpart Silver Sliver that is functionally identical. However, it does not evolve or anything, and it levels up as Shadow Servant does. And it spawns like a silver version of the snake instead of like a purpley black version. So base, it does 10 damage with a 1.5 second duration. It's an AoE, so that's nice, the little snakes. It has a 2-second cooldown and no second projectile interval, so all the snakes come out at the same time. It has 8 levels. At max level, it will be doing 50 damage, plus 50% to its area, and plus 2 amount, so you'll have 3 snakes flying out without any other amount modifications. So Shadow Servant is okay. It doesn't really do that much damage. The main thing is, the interesting thing is the slowdown debuff. So I think it's probably better than Prismatic Missile. A little bit. Yeah, I'll put it here, I think, in good. So the reason why I'm not putting it higher because of the debuff thing is most of the time the enemies will just die, right? And like the enemies that are not immune to debuffs, they're trash mobs. They're just gonna die to something else in like 2 seconds. The one time that I think this would be good is if you're playing on very high curse percentages. If you're playing on very high curse percentages, then the debuff will actually become very useful, I think, because the enemies will be living for longer. They're not just instantly getting destroyed. They're technically still trash mobs. They just have a fuckload of health, right? So if you're playing on very high curse, you want something to like slow them down, even maybe like Infinite Corridor and stuff like that. But the debuff will come into effect very it will actually like matter instead of them hit like a snake hitting it, slowing them down for like a millisecond, and then they die to like the Gatorade splashing on the ground or something like that. You know what I mean? So if you're playing on very high curse levels, this shoots up maybe even into OP. But I don't know. I'm just, like I said, I'm just going with base game with no other real strings attached. Not even really Arcanas, even though I think that Arcanas is the way to play the game for me. But I'm trying to keep my Arcana bias out of it. So this is just rating the weapon on... Again, I explained this in the weapon tier list video, but it's just rating the weapon by itself in a vacuum against all the other weapons, right? So, I mean, this shittiest weapon in the entire game can quickly become very overpowered with one simple Arcana. But I mean, when I add all of that stuff in, it becomes way too difficult to objectively rate all of the weapons. So I'm trying to keep all of that stuff out. And I explained that a little bit in the weapons tier list, but I think a couple people didn't quite get it or didn't see that part maybe. So hopefully, whatever. So yes, I think it belongs in good. Especially if you get more amount running around, it's very nice. If you're doing a Gemini build, it's pretty good. You just have to watch out for the cats. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. It's not like amazing, but again, it's just a base weapon. So what can you really expect? Next up is Party Popper. Party Popper. Here we go. So this it's similar to the Cherry Bomb, the Bone, and this cart thing, where it has a very small chance to obtain it in the pool, but you can buy it from the merchant for like spending $1,000 or something like that. And it's the Rottin'Ghoul starter. So basically what it does is it shoots confetti upward and diagonally based on where you're facing, and then it comes like arcs downward like a gravity like Party Popper thing. So the Party Popper trails can bounce on one enemy one time, and each one has 10 pierce, which is pretty cool. It has a 0.5 second hitbox delay, but it has the same effect as like the other things where the spells, where if part of it dissipates first, the same enemy can get hit again in that 0.5 seconds. Also, if you select Gemini, you get a counterpart Party Pooper that is functionally identical to Party Popper, and it levels up as Party Popper does, but it shoots opposite colored confetti, so like gray and like black confetti, and it shoots the opposite direction of where you're facing from the character. So by default, this thing does 5 damage. It has 7 amount, so I think that's like the streamers that it shoots out, 7 little streamers, and then the more amount you have, you'll get more streamers. 0.5 seconds on the duration. Each streamer has 10 pierce with a cooldown of 3 seconds and the interval of 0.1 seconds. And then this thing has 8 levels. At max level, it does 25 damage, plus 40% to its projectile speed, and 2 seconds to duration, bringing it to a 2.5 second duration. This thing's not, like, great. It's not, like, great or anything. I'd put it above Greatest Jubilee, probably. It's not great. If you're building a Gemini build, you might as well get it because you're doubling your damage up, and mostly because there isn't like enough Gemini like weapons, because like you get the cat, that's a Gemini, you get the 2 birds, that's a Gemini, and then they union and become 1 bird. You get this orb, you get this orb, You get the guns, that union again also, so like you're ending up with like 2 extra slots, so you might as well get it. That being said, it's not particularly good or interesting. It's better than Jubilee, I think. Even though Jubilee is kind of interesting, one thing I did neglect is Jubilee has that chance to spawn light sources, which is really good because if your luck is really high, you can get rosaries from those, you can get vacuums from those. You can get some good stuff. Chicken if you need it, but I just don't really like to use it. But I would consider this if you're going luck build too, the Jubilee. It just won't be doing damage. It will just be spawning light sources for you. So that's pretty much it for Party Pooper. Now we're moving on to evolutions, I believe. Yes, evolutions. Firstly, oh fuck, I forgot to get the Ashes of Must spell again on here. Damn it. Whatever, who cares? Ashes I'd put above Rune Tracer, below Thousand Edge. Damn it, I did it again. Fuck, man. Okay, so we'll talk about Anima of Mortaccio now. So this is a weird one. So basically, Anima of Mortaccio is an evolution. You need Bone. You need the Chaos Malachite Relic, which you get from playing the Tides of Foscari DLC in the Lake Foscari map. And you have to be playing as Mortaccio, and you reach level 80. When that happens, your Bone evolves into Anima of Mortaccio. So I don't exactly know which part makes you invincible, if it's the Anima or if it's being the character itself. But I'm just going to put Anima of Mortaccio at the very top because it doesn't say... When you become Shin Tensai Mortaccio, you can no longer take damage. Even death cannot kill you. I didn't know that, so when I first played as him, I left the game going for 5 minutes because I was like, man, this is taking forever. But I would have gotten Infinite Corridor if I knew that I would have to kill death at the end. I ended up just quitting out because it was taking too fucking long. But anyway, when you become Omega Mortaccio, you are now invulnerable. You cannot take damage. Not even death can kill you. That being said, the weapon is also different now. So basically what it does is it throws spinning bones in random directions. They travel in a straight line, bouncing off enemies' walls and enters the screen. Just like the normal bone, right? And then at the end, it adds its pair of bone arms on the character. You get these wiggly little bone arm things. And what they do is after 5 normal bone shots, they begin rotating around and like doing this, and then they fling off as a pair of projectiles, and then they come back. And then the arms also leave after images, which do damage. So duration increases how long the arms spin around the character and bounce around. They spin for at least 8 seconds, and they spin for at least 8 seconds, increased by 1 second for every 0.5 seconds, beyond 4 seconds for the normal bone duration. So basically they get at least 8 seconds, and then 1 second for every amount that you have beyond 4 seconds of the normal duration. Then they bounce around for at least 4 seconds, and then as long as the normal bones do. Amount also multiplies the damage of the arms by 0.5, so like 50% basically. Each bone multiplies its velocity of the other bones by 1.1. So every bone that you throw makes the bones go faster. Yeah, this is nice. It does 65 damage, 1.6 area, 1.75 speed, 3 amount, 2.6 on the duration, 3 seconds on cooldown, no projectile interval. This thing, it's pretty fucking good. It does a grip of damage, like, just by itself. But the main thing is, like, when you get it, you will then be indestructible. So you can literally sit there and do nothing. Very similar to, like, these things. Except, like, even with Sigma, you'll have, like, a chance to be damaged for, like, a little bit. With this one, there is no chance. No chance at all. So, yes, Shin Mortaccio, quite good. You just have to be playing as him and get to level 80. And even, like, that's not that big of an ask. But anyway, new best weapon in the game. It's, for some reason, considered a weapon, an evolution. So I put it in here, and that's why I waited to talk about his evolution, or like, yeah, that's why I waited to talk about it until the weapons section. So that is that. We'll be moving on to Legionaire. Legionaire is the next evolution. I like Legionaire a lot. This thing's nice. So this is the evolution of Eskizzibur, the Dragon Slayer, and armor at max level. Both of them have to be max level. So basically, it has the same sword swing effect as Eskizzibur, but it also shoots like clones. So basically, wherever you're pointing, it shoots like a host of clones out of the character, traveling in the direction that you're facing. And the clones do damage. The cool thing is, the clones are considered to be retaliatory damage, which is boosted by armor and triggers Divine Bloodline. So that's really cool. It like shoots yourself out, and then it does the retaliation stuff. It's really cool. So the thing is, if you have the slash Arcana, I don't think that the Legionnaire thing, the clones can crit, but the Legionnaire will have a way bigger area and the lower crit chance when using slash. The clone movement speed is affected by projectile speed, movement speed, and duration. So all three of those make the shot speed very fast. And that's pretty much it. Amount also adds to the Legion of your clones. So basically, by default, it has one in the middle, and then each amount that you have will add a ring around the middle one. Let's see. Yes, if you have slash, they can crit, but it will do 4 times damage, but it only has a 10% chance to occur instead of the normal 20%. So by default, 40 damage, 1.3 area, but that's a 10% bonus from the evolution. 2 amount by default, 1 second duration, with a 2.7 second cooldown and a 0.2 second projectile interval. But that's mostly for the main slashing, side to side, not the clones. So this thing is cool. This thing's really good with the retaliation build, with the slash build, yeah, with a lot of stuff. So I think Legionnaire is quite good. It's not like really broken or anything. I think I would put it below. No, it's better than Thousand Edge by default. It's better than Bracelet too, I think. Yeah, I'll put it here. It's not better than Death Scythe, I think, but it is better than most of these things. It's quite nice in my opinion. Also, it looks cool, which is my main thing. Next up is Millionaire. Millionaire. So this is the evolution of Flash Arrow and Bracer and Clover, and they all have to be maxed. So you need 2 for this. So basically, it's the same thing as Flash Arrow, where it shoots an arrow in the direction you're moving. When you collect gold bags, or when you defeat an enemy with the arrow, yellow like bullets and arrows will start to rain down on the screen from the top corner in the other direction that you're facing. So if you're facing left, it'll be the top right corner, and then bullets will rain down and do a fucking shitload of damage. It has infinite pierce now, so the arrow has infinite pierce, which is very fucking good when you have Iron Blue Will. So the damage is multiplied by amount, again, similar to Flash Arrow, and it also multiplies how many bullets rain down when you collect gold or defeat enemies with the arrow. Let's see, it by default can crit. It gets really good with Slash and Iron Blue Will, obviously. So it does 40 damage, 1.6 on the area, but that's like a 20% increase from the normal Flash Arrow at max. 1.5 speed. It has infinite pierce, like I said, 2-second cooldown, and 0.1 second projectile interval. I think that actually doesn't matter. Again, it might matter for the bullets that it spawns, but I'm not exactly sure. So this thing is pretty cool. I like this a lot. This the slash build was already really good, but with these things, man, these things are getting juicy. I think I want to say it's slightly better than Eskizzibur, but not much better than Death Scythe. However, if you do get Slash and or Iron Blue Will, this shoots like up into OP very easily. The main thing is it has infinite pierce, which is good, but like again, if you don't have Iron Blue Will, you're just shooting an arrow that like flies off the side of the screen every 2 seconds, right? But that being said, it is much better than this normal flash arrow because of the additional like damage that you'll be getting when you collect gold and when you murder an enemy with said arrow. So I think that's pretty solid for that. Moving on to Luminaire. This is the evolution of Prismatic Missile and Crown, both at max level. This thing will crash your computer. So basically, it creates rainbow beams that will like come down off the top of the screen and strike enemies from the top. And then it makes like circles that rotate counterclockwise and rains down with like beams. But all of that shit is just cosmetic. So it has like this weird like effect that will make you have a seizure. But the main thing is just the beams that will come down and strike enemies. It is no longer affected by projectile speed because it's no longer like a projectile, I think. It's just like a beam similar to Lightning Ring. And basically every time it attacks, it increases the value of experience gems and gold coins. It has like a logarithmic scale, which again, if you are interested in, you can look it up on the wiki yourself. But it basically, whenever it attacks, it makes the experience gems worth more and gold bags worth more. So again, similar to the Prismatic Missile, depending on which Arcana you had chosen first, it will have a different effect. Heart of Fire causes the beams to explode again, dealing half the damage in an area. Jail of Crystal gives a 25% chance to freeze again, and then Twilight Requiem just makes it explode again when it hits the ground. It's basically the same as the Prismatic Missile. So now it does a 30 damage. The area is down by a lot, but that's just because it doesn't have an area of effect. It doesn't really have like an area anymore. Speed is down, but again, that's the same thing. 7 amount, same as before, with a 0.5 second duration, a 2 second cooldown, but I think it's actually 2.5 second. It has a longer cooldown than Prismatic Missile, and the projectile interval is no longer a thing. I think, yeah, there's no projectile interval. Because it just shoots the beams down. So this thing is good for, it's really good, similar to Gorgeous Moon, it's really good for farming experience if you're playing Limit Break, and it's really good for gold farming if you are farming gold. That being said, it's not amazing as far as damage goes and like actually clearing. It's cool looking and it will give you a seizure. So I think I'm going to put it down in okay, probably. It's probably the top of okay. Nah, it's better than this, so. Not by a lot, though, so I think we'll put it here. We'll put it right above Prismatic Missile. It's, like, better, but not better at the same time. Like, it does more damage, but it has a higher cooldown, and I don't know, it's like a give and take thing, as far as just rating the damage output on these two things. But this, obviously, gets a lot better if you, like I said, if you're going for a Limit Break build, or if you're playing Limit Break, or if you are gold farming, because this increases the amount that the gold is worth, and it increases the amount the experience is worth. The main thing is, though, it has to actually be on the ground when the thing attacks. So if you're collecting it, if you're collecting experience and gold as it's spawning, then this won't really be helping you too much. But it's a cool item, and it will give you a seizure. Okay, next up we've got Ophion, which is the evolution of Shadow Servant and Skull Omaniac at max level. So basically what this does is, instead of summoning the snakes now, it will summon dark orbs, like dark energy orbs with like spinning rings and stuff like that, with like smoke and an Ouroboros spinning in the middle. Then when it expires, it explodes, and like it extends a little bit over its normal area. So the cool thing about these is they have a 1% chance to instantly kill an enemy like a Rosary. So it has a 1% chance to trigger a Rosary effect in its area. and that's affected by luck, obviously. So if you have more luck, that 1% chance goes up. This has a 1.1 second hitbox delay, and again the same thing as before, whereas the first one will degenerate, and then the yeah, I've said it like 3 times. So let's see. The Gemini, basically, yeah, it doesn't have this for the Ophion, but you do get to keep the silver sliver when it evolves if you are using a Gemini run. So by default, it does 50 damage, 3 amount. It has a 1.5 second duration, 2 second cooldown, 0.2 seconds on the projectile interval, and 1 second hitbox delay, like I said before, and a higher pool limit. It's up to like 200 or 150. So this thing is cool. This thing is similar. It's similar to Shadow Servant. I don't think it's like it's not like great. I think I'll put it at the top of OP. It's not AFK God mode level by default, just because, again, if you are playing normally, the enemies will probably just straight up die to the damage of this thing rather than the 1% chance of it instantly killing anyway, right? So it's like, whatever. But similar to Shadow Servant, if you're playing on very high curse levels, this starts to become very strong. Like, it goes way up here probably if you're playing on high curse levels, because again, the enemies will have such high health, and if you get a lot of luck, you have a very good chance of just instantly rosarying everything that it runs into. If you're playing Limit Break, and if you're playing Limit Break with this, you get really good because the size gets obscenely massive, and you can just full screen clear everything with high enough luck. But that's only Limit Break, right? You can't do that. Without Limit Break. Let's see. What was it? Oh yeah. So the final one. This is a union, not a evolution. But the final weapon is SpellStrom. I thought it was SpellStorm for the longest time, but it's SpellStrom. The S with this fancy square. So you get this by union with SpellString, SpellStream, and SpellStrike, and they all have to be max level at level 6, and then you get the SpellStrom. So this thing is cool. So basically you get to keep the effects of all the other spell things, but in addition, it creates like these 2 like gravity well things that orbit around the character and leave behind particle like dotted particle paths. So each of those wells has spell strings on it that will shoot out, and those are at max level. The spell strings, the SpellString, SpellStream, and SpellStrike are all at max level. And then SpellStream and SpellStrike still work as normal. The only main difference is SpellString actually gets plus 10 to its base damage. SpellStream gets 100% projectile speed and 0.5 seconds to its duration, and 50% area. And then SpellStrike gets plus 2 amount. And then basically every once in a while, the singularity, it like makes a singularity where the 2 gravity wells come in together and they smash into each other, dealing a fuckload of damage to all the enemies and like shooting out these like waves of particles. So the damage increases by the base damage. Basically is calculated by having the base damage, obviously, and then it adds the duration in seconds to that, and then projectile speed adds to that, and then area adds to that, and then you multiply that by amount, and it increases. The base damage also increases every 5 times it's triggered. So the longer you have this thing, the more fucking damage it will do. It will start to do a shitload. The cooldown of that like gravity well crashing thing starts at 40 seconds. It has a 2-part thing. So basically, there's a 20-second cooldown that can't be lowered in any way, and then another 20 seconds that can be affected by cooldown reduction. So you can get it up to like a 90. If you have like up to like a 90% cooldown reduction, the minimum cooldown you'll get is 22 seconds of the singularity smashing into each other. So this thing is really cool. It's just irritating to farm. If you're not playing Eleanor, it's irritating to farm this because you have to get all 3 of the spells out of the item pool, and it's really irritating to do. You have to use a lot of banishes, but once you do, you get SpellStrom, and this thing is pretty fucking good. I think it's better than Menage, I think, but maybe worse than Fulu Fuafulu or whatever the fuck it's called. Mostly because this thing just heals you. But this does a fucking shitload of damage. It unions all of these spells so you free up more slots for weapons later. And it does, like, the longer you, it's kind of similar to Soul Solution, where the longer you have it, the more damage it will be doing. Yeah, it's just very, very good. I think that's a pretty solid spot for it. So I think that's actually it. Let me take another look over this and just double check. I don't actually know if this Turbo Candy Box can acquire Anima of Mortaccio. I feel like it cannot. So I think this is probably fine. Yeah, I think I did most of my moving around at the very beginning. So yeah, okay. Yeah, I think this is good. Okay, so I'll put this into presentation mode for you. There you are. Boom. All right, so yeah, that was it. So I'll leave this here. Go back to the character one for a moment for you. And then the passives one, again, there wasn't really much to do there. So that's pretty much it. So thanks to you guys for watching this far, if you have. I'm hoping this video will be a bit shorter than the other ones, but again, there wasn't too much content to go over. If I missed anything or got anything wrong, be sure to let me know in the comments, and yell at me and all of that stuff. Yeah, so at this point, I'd like to thank all you guys for even having interest in these tier list videos. I was very surprised at the amount of people coming out and actually watching this shit. So yeah, again, thank you. And again, if you're interested in seeing more of my content, go ahead and subscribe and whatever, hit the bell and send it to your mom's dog's girlfriend. And yeah, I stream on Twitch as well at twitch.tv/tonkdumbledonk. So if you want to catch me live over there, I do a lot of variety streams. Hit me up over there. I'm not exactly sure how much more Vampire Survivors content I will be doing in the future, just because I've sort of hit 100% at this point, and I don't know. Maybe I'll do, if you guys are interested, I could do like a couple tutorials. I could do like Arcana explanations, maybe. I don't really know. I've just kind of like run up to the end of it here with Vampire Survivors, but if you guys are interested in more content, yeah, I'll put some out. But until then, I'll be doing variety streaming. I've been streaming whatever I kind of feel like. So if you're interested in listening to my voice again for some reason, come on by. I'm affiliated over there, so if you want to show your support, you are able to. I also have an email address that you can send inquiries to. I'll put it up on the screen. But yeah, I want to do more like tabletop RPG content, like Pathfinder and D&D and stuff like that. I already put one video out like that. But I want to do more. Like I was thinking about doing, since I make like a lot of world maps and battle maps, I was thinking about doing like a map roasting video every now and then. So if you're interested in getting if you want your maps to be critiqued by me, you can send them to my email address, and I'll go over tips and tricks and map making stuff like that. So that was just one idea I had, but anyway, I'm sticking around. So if you are still interested, yeah, I'm not going anywhere probably. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.